Hi everyone, thanks for checking out this video. So in this lesson, I'm going to be showing you guys another cool thing you can do with Python. And this thing we're going to learn in this video is also going to give us a kind of fun way to practice and review some of the things we've been learning in the previous videos. So this lesson is about user input, which is basically it's what it sounds like, just a way of taking input from the user. So I told you guys previously that when we're defining variables, usually we define them by just like setting a variable equal to something like this. So this is a variable called test, and we're saying test equals, then it could be like a string like that. But besides that, another way you can define variables is by taking input from the user. So the way to do that is you write your variable name equals, so like test equals here, and then you say input parentheses. And again, this is another one of these Python functions that we've been running into, because it's got the function name input and then parentheses. So I'll run this in a second and show you guys what it does. But basically, this is going to allow the user to type in something that will be stored in this test variable. So they're going to type in something, and yeah, it'll be stored in test. And then we can print it out. So we can say like maybe we'll print out like, here's what you entered, and then print test. Okay, so I'm gonna save and then run this, and we'll just see what it does. Okay, so it might be hard to tell, but right now the program is waiting for us to type something in and press enter. So basically, when Python is going through executing these lines of code, I mean, when it hits this input function, it stops and it waits for the user to type something into the console and press enter. And then when the user types something in and presses enter, whatever they type in will get stored in this test variable. And then the program will continue on from there. So, okay, let's think about what we want to type in. So I'm just going to type in like hi for now. So I'm going to just type hi and then press enter. And then after that, it goes through and it does the rest of the program. So it prints out, here's what you entered, and then it prints out test, and then test is storing whatever we entered in, which was hi. Okay, so that's basically how we do it. So that's basically all there is for user input, but for the rest of this video, I'm thinking that we can just do a bit of review and use this user input as like a fun way to practice some other things we've been working on. Okay, so I'm going to comment this out for now. But yeah, I was thinking it'd be fun to practice by making a couple little like chat bots to kind of interact with the user. So this first one, I'm just going to call just for fun, like Chat GPT 1.0. And yeah, it's going to be like a very, very basic chatbot. Not super impressive at all, but kind of fun for us to play around with. I'm just going to say like print, hi, what's your name? And then we're going to say we're going to have a variable called user name, and that's going to equal whatever the user inputs at this point. And then after the user inputs something, we're going to say print nice to meet you. And you know what? If you guys are using the latest version of Python, there's a cool trick you can do here where you can make what's called an F string. So if you have your string start with an F like this, this will allow you to have a string where you also include in the string some of your variables that you have. So if you have an F string like this, you can say nice to meet you brackets, and then the name of the variable that you want to reference, and then maybe an exclamation point. So this, and I think, yeah, the older versions of Python don't have this, but if you're using the latest version of Python, you should be able to use this F string, which again is just F before your first quotation mark, and then you can use this like bracket notation to reference your variable. If you don't have that, if you're using an older version of Python, you can also do like the older way of doing it, which is just print nice to meet you, and then comma, and then username. That's the older way of doing this. But yeah, with the newer way, you can say like f string nice to meet you, and then just reference the username variable, and that'll print out whatever the username is. Okay, so let's try out this little little ChatGPT 1.0 chatbot here. Okay, let's give it a try. Okay, so it says, hi, what's your name? I'll enter Mike, and then it prints out, nice to meet you, Mike. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty cool. Yeah, a little fun way to practice some of this Python. We can make another one just to practice more with like Boolean variables. We can call this one evil chatbot, and then for this one we can have a Boolean variable called evil that we can set to be I'll set it first to be false, but we'll define what the chatbot will do differently based on if we set evil to be true or false. And I think first I'll just comment out or you know what, part of this I'm just going to copy. I'm going to copy and paste yeah, like the part of this yeah, like hi, what's your name, and then username equals input, and then yeah, from here I'm gonna comment out some of this. So okay, evil equals false, print hi, what's your name, have the user enter the name, and then I'm gonna say okay, if evil, and remember evil is just true or false, so this is a valid if statement. If evil is false, then it will not do whatever's in this code block. But if evil is true, then it will do whatever's in this code block. So if evil, like if this is true, print f string, and I'll just have to say like, oh hey, username, I just wanted to let you know that I'm plotting to take over the world. Okay. And then end that print statement there. Whoops, this is getting to be a little bit too long of a line, I think. Okay, I have to make that a little bit bigger. So that's what it's going to do if it's evil. But if evil is false, then we're going to say else, and then this will just be the same as before. If it's not evil, it'll just be the same as before, where it just says nice to meet you, so and so. Okay, so let's just first try running this with evil being false, and then we'll see what it does. Okay, so run module. It says hi, what's your name? Enter my name, Mike. Press enter. Nice to meet you, Mike. Okay. And then now we can try setting evil to be true and then running it again. So it says, hi, what's your name? Mike. And then it says, oh, hey, Mike, I just wanted to let you know that I'm plotting to take over the world. And then I actually just saw we had a little typo there, so we can fix that typo and yeah. But yeah, looks like it worked. Pretty cool. Yeah, I just had a funny thought. I'm just hoping that with like the real ChatGPT, hopefully they don't have some Boolean variable where it's like evil and setting it equal to true makes it actually evil. That'd be pretty bad for the actual like real ChatGPT. But okay, yeah, hopefully they're not doing that in real life. But okay, yeah, now we can just comment this out and maybe do another example. Okay, so the last example for this video is going to be a number adding bot. So it's going to be a chat bot where it prompts you to enter two numbers and then it adds them together for you. Okay, so I'll just say like number adding bot, and it's going to start by saying print please enter the first number. Whoops. and then we're just gonna say num1 equals whatever the user enters, and then we're gonna say please enter the second number, and then num2 is going to be whatever the user enters for their second entry. And then we're going to say total equals num1 plus num2. And then just say print f string, the sum of those numbers is, and then brackets, so that with our f string we can reference this total variable, and then close that. Okay, when I run this one, it's gonna not give us what we want. It's gonna have a problem with it. So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to pay attention to what this number adding bot does, and see if you guys can identify what the problem is that we're facing with it. Okay, so we'll run this and we'll see if you guys can catch what the problem is. Okay, so run module. Please enter the first number. I'll enter a 4. Please enter the second number. I'll enter a 5. And then it says the sum of those numbers is 45. Well, that's actually not correct. So, of course, the sum of 4 and 5 is 9. So it should be saying that the sum is 9. But for some reason, it's telling us that the sum is 45, which is obviously not the sum of those numbers. So what's going on? So maybe at this point, you guys want to pause the video and just put some thought into it and see if you can debug this one yourself and see if you can figure out what's going wrong here. So if you want to maybe pause the video, see if you can figure out what the problem is here. Okay, so maybe you guys have figured out, or maybe remembered from a couple videos ago when we were talking about data types, that basically if any string that we have, even if it's a number in quotation marks, anytime we have a string, even if it's like a string version of a number, when we add strings together, they don't, like, Python treats these as being text, basically. Because even though they look like numbers to us, anything in between quotes, as far as Python is concerned, is a string. And when we add two strings together, rather than being added mathematically as numbers, they get pushed together as text, basically. So if we have 5 as a string plus 2 as a string, it just gets pushed together to become 52. Or 4 as a string plus 5 as a string, it gets pushed together to become 45. So basically that was the hint, and that's what the problem is that's going on here, is that this kind of lets us know that whenever we're taking user input, the user input gets read into Python as a string no matter what. So even if we enter in a number, it's still getting read into the variable as a string. So all of these, like num1 and num2, are getting treated as strings, meaning treated as text, even though we entered in numbers. So that's why we're getting this weird answer here of getting the sum of these numbers is 45, is because they're being treated as strings and then added together as strings rather than added mathematically. But luckily, there's a pretty easy way for us to solve this. So we can actually solve this with what's called casting. So I'm going to make a note here. Casting is changing something from one data type to another. So what we can do is we can say num1 equals float num1. And this is what's called casting. So num1, when we read it in from the user, is being read in as a string. But if we say float parentheses num1, this casts num1 from a string into a float. So in this case, this will go from like 4 as a string. It will get converted into 4.0, the float. Or we could have also done, we could have cast it to an int, but I'm going to cast it to a float to make it so that decimals will also be okay. Yes, this will convert it from a string to a float, and then still save it in this num1 variable. So that's called casting. So say cast num1 from string to float, and then we can also do this for num2. So we can, or whoops, sorry, should be here. Yeah, num2 can also be cast from a string to a float. And if we run it now, then it should work okay, I think. Can run the module again. It says, please enter the first number, enter 4. Please enter the second number, enter 5. And now it casts those from strings to floats, and it enters in, yeah, or sorry, and then it adds them together. And by this point, both of them are floats, so the total will be 9.0. And then when we go to print out the total, it's the correct sum. Okay, so that's all I have for you guys for this lesson. Just, yeah, a little bit of playing around with user input and practicing some things we've already learned, doing a bit of review. But okay, so that's all I have for you guys for today. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.